Right, I hope this was clear to you guys. Okay, so have you practiced all these things? Because you will be having a small test today. Okay, so I'll be taking just a test for like just a brush up, right? So let's go ahead. So next the question would be, let's say, when uh, when would you use split lines? So why do we use split lines there? So if it is asked when you will use the split lines, yes. So the method here we are using is split lines. Why so? So why do we use split lines? So when do you use split lines? Now let's say you have a sentence. You have a sentence and it is kind of, let's say, uh, machine learning is the subset of artificial intelligence. Alright, let's say this is a sentence. Okay, and meanwhile, deep learning is the subset of artificial intelligence. Okay, so this is a kind of a statement I have written. So what I use is slash n, and you know right why I use slash n for a new line. That's it. Now I have a sentence. Okay, so what if I write sentence dot split lines? What if I write like this? Once again. So sentence dot split lines. When you run this, what you'll see that the individual sentences has been split out. Okay, so why we use, when would you use the split lines? So you'll be writing the split lines are used to split a string on line breaks. Okay, so wherever we will having a line break, we'll be splitting down the strings there. Understood? Someone came. Okay. So now, let's say for the 20-second question that give an example of string slicing. Give an example of a string slicing. Okay. So what you will do there? What are the methods you will be using is, obviously we'll be using the indexing method. The indexing or uh, slicing, right? We'll be using these methods there. So when we use the indexing or when we use the slicing, what we have to do there exactly is we'll take a string and we'll define its starting point GK. So we'll define a starting point there. Okay. Then we'll give a just a colon. Okay, and then we'll write the ending point, or you can say as your index end, whatever you want, index end point. And meanwhile, if you want it into the intervals, so what you're doing is you will be giving the step, which is also called as interval. Right, this is indexes start. So these are the things which we'll be writing on similarly. Okay, so just like take so string or slicing particularly of a string, just take 3 arguments, kind of your let me write it as code, would be nice. So this take index start, index end, and the step or the interval, whatever you are giving. Okay, so step or interval, it basically carries the you can say the gaps you are giving there, right? So if you write a 3, so every character would be printed on the 3rd index and like that. So let's take again, as I said, that let's take a string. Let's say there are, let's say 7 continents. Just take it like that. Okay. Now, if I write string 1, or first let's count the length first. So 23. All right. So let's print str and give it like for the 6. Okay. So what will be printed out if I write like the str and then everything before the 6 there? So what will come if I run this? Let's see. There comes there. Okay. So that is there. Similarly, just let's take it as a kind of 7 to 13. Zero to minus. Understand what is happening? It will be taking from 0 to minus 1. That is from 0 to minus 1. What is minus 1? This is minus 1. But minus 1 will not be taken. This one before there. That is minus 1, minus 1, minus 2. So 0 to minus 2 will be there, and that too in the intervals of 2. You can see what will come there. Okay. We will run this. So you can see there is RE7C, that is from 7 to 13. That is 7, that is 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright. But 13 will not be printed. From 7 to 12 will be coming. So if I zoom in, you can see it's 7, 8, 9 is the gap, 10, 11, and 12 with the C. So RE gap 7 and then gap C. Similarly for the string 0, minus 1, 2, it is coming like C. 0, then give a gap there, and then E, then give again a gap, E, again a gap, A, and so on. It goes to the T. As I said, it will go till minus 2. Alright. Moving ahead. So just like any question comes as a very silly one, this is.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes. Others.
Sir, please repeat from cell number 4. I'm not
Okay.
able to understand that cell number 4.
Alright, no problems. I'll do that. Convert an integer to a string. That's very easy. Just you write str and that should be the string there. Let's say there is a number 45. That's all. Okay. The fourth one is saying that you want to print everything till the 5 because you haven't gave the starting range, so it will print from the 0. Okay, and it will go till the 5. So from the 0 it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5th is the gap. So you can see it's there and the gap too. This is alright. Similarly here we took from the 7 to 12. So 7 to 12 is this, and from 0 to -1 in the intervals of 2 is this, that is from 0 to -1 or -2 particularly, right? 0 to -2 on the intervals of 2, that is in the 2 of gaps. So 24. Now the question is like, check if a string contains only characters of the alphabets, right? It says just check the string only contains the characters of the alphabet, nothing else, right? So what are you using there? Which method? Is alpha. This is the method you will be using there, that is alpha. Understood? Let's just focus more. Let's say that you have a string. So this will return you true if all the characters or just the letters are the characters category. Okay. Let's just say that we have a string. Let it be string, and we will look after this whether this is an alpha or not. Whether this is an alphabetic character or not. Similarly, let's take another one, again taking a string there. But here I'll take string 12 and I'll check whether this is an alpha or not. Similar. Okay. So if I print this, I'm getting it's a kind of a true and false. So this is whole a string. Okay, this is a kind of a string. Everything there is an character, alphabets there. So it's true. And for this, there is a number 2. So this is false. Okay. Yes. Moving ahead. So 25th is replace all instances of a substring in a string. Now again try to understand. It says to replace all the instances to the string with the substring. So there the method we'll be using is replace. Alright. It's easy. So let's take another, just take a type of a, let's take there is a sentence. Okay, and it's written like Sally sells seashells by the seashore. This is the sentence. Alright. So we need to replace what? We need to replace the sea by the mountains. We need to replace it by the mountains. Okay. So for that, what we'll do that? I'll write sentence, and then we'll be replacing it by the sea by the mountain. So this is just a kind of a replace you do. right? So it will say that Sally sells mountain shells by the mountain shore. That is exactly not kind of right. One second, guys. All right. So let's see the next one. 26. Let's say the question is kind of that. What is the question there? So return the minimum character in a string. So minimum character of a string. How you will be returning that? What is the minimum character in a string? Hmm. So write it as return the minimum character of a string. So there what you use the minimum function, right? So capitalized characters and the characters earlier we have used till are kind of a lower index and the upper index or missed case, right? So minimum function will return the character with the lowest index. Okay, with the lowest index. So let me write it here that it's a good point that the min function I'll be using now will return the character with the lowest index. So this is we'll be getting. Okay, now let's say I've written min and I have written strings. Alright, or let's say it's a b c d e f. When you run this, you'll be getting a. So the character having the minimum index value automatically will come there. Now let's say that you have written a kind of minimum and x anything. Okay, let it be anything there. Suppose for the min. Okay, just kind of any random words I have written, letters I have written, right? So from the minimum index value, I mean that the number which is or the character or letter which is coming first will be just printed there. That is. So we can see A, B, and B. So in all these things, B come as the first. In all these things, B come first. So B is coming, and in this, A come first. So A is there. If we reverse it, like kind of, let's say we have written it. I have given a gap there. So still, it's kind of an A. Okay, let's import a C there, and you will be checking that it's AB. A, B, C there. Okay, so these are the kind. The minimum will return you the characters which has the lowest index. Okay. Similarly, the questions is kind of just like the alpha one we have did. Like, let's say the 27 one. Check if all the characters in a string are the alphanumeric. Okay, so here what the method you will be using is alpha numeric or is alpha num. That's it. So let's take a string, let's say it's str array, and let's just take that is alpha numeric. No, sorry, not alpha, write it. So if this is alpha numeric there, and similarly let's take the another one. So is this then alpha numeric or not? Okay. So how we'll see that whether these things are equal or not? Let's say run this. So we saw that everything there is an alpha. So alpha numeric, or you can say, are the values which include the letters and the integers. Okay, so these include the letter as well as the integers. So there we see that the str of 2 is correct. Okay. Yes. So if we write down these spaces and there, so alpha is alpha and numeric is numeric there. So alpha numeric is not like combination of. So it will return you the letters or the values or correct values only if it includes the letters and the integers. All right. Similar that. Anything including other than these will give you a false result. Okay. Moving on. So the next one is, I think you guys know this one, that remove the white spaces from the left, right, or you can say from the both sides of the string. Yes, what you'll be using there? Answers. What you'll be using in the for removing the white spaces? Venkat is correct. So the method we'll be using is the strip one. Correct one. Let's just take it. Okay. So here is an ask to remove from the left side, right side, and the both of the sides. So if I want to remove it from the left side, let's say my string is strip from the left side. This is my string. So here no spaces in the right side, so I'll be using else strip. That is your left strip. Okay. Similarly, let's take it for the right one. Now let's say so this is kind of a spaces from the right. Here I'll be writing that R strip. Okay, so this is the right strip, and now if I have spaces on both of the sides, so I'll be using the strip function. Alright, so these are the three of the kinds, and when you run this, you'll be getting str as no L strip. Why? Okay, this is spelling error, I think. Alright. So you can see the strip from the left side, strip from the right side, and strip from both of the sides similarly, right? So this was the method. Let's take another question. So see, now if you want to check a specific thing, right? You want to like check if a string begins with a or ends with a specific character. So if you want to check whether a string begins with or ends with a very specific character, so what the method you will be using there? So the method you will be using there is called as starts with and the ends with. So these are the method you will be using there. Okay, so how? Let's say I have city and let's make it as random. So I have this city there, right? Let's just write it like that. Now I want to check that my city starts with L or not. So whether if it is starting from L, then it's correct. Okay, I need to start. Just check it there. In place of writing for the upper or like that. Okay, I'll be writing that it starts with L, and if it is ending with N or not. So I'm giving capital N, but my city is ending from the last N. So you'll be getting the values. Let's just take it there. Again, I'm writing it as for on this you will be seeing true, false, and true. Whereas city starts with L, alright, that's correct. City ends, no, it does not ends with capital N, but it ends with the small n. Okay, these are the things, right? Now see, ASCII codes are something which you encode, as I said again, that previously also, that ASCII codes you will be encoding somewhere, right? So how to write those things, how to just have, once again, let me see the battery there. It's 41, okay. Okay. Now, let's take a question that is around 30, and you are asked to encode a given string in a as ASCII. So the proper method we'll be using here is encode. So see, the encodes, this encode function will encode a string with the given encoding, whatever you have writing. Okay, so you can say that the default encoding is by the UTF-8. So if a character cannot be encoded, then it will be raising a Unicode encode error. Okay, that is kind of thing you will be getting there, the encodations. So let's just write it as a fresh tuna, right? So it's just a fresh tuna, and I want to now encode this as a kind of the ASCII. Okay, so the result I'll be getting out is this B fresh tuna. Okay, this is the kind. And now let's say there is a kind of a word. Let's say this is fresh tuna, and now you want to also write it as Okay, you have written a square root there now. Okay, and now you want to encode this in the ASCII. So this will definitely give that this character's position or anything, you will be getting an Unicode error there. That is not correct. Okay. So if you want to just make anything in the ASCII, right, or encode anything there, so you'll be writing like that. Okay. Moving ahead. So it says check all the characters with a white space or not. Having a white space or not. So the methods you will be using here is not method, only one particular method. So we'll be using is space. We have done, right? So let's take a string and check whether is space or not. Similarly, let's take another string. Let's check it's having a space or not. Let's check another string having a space or not. Let's take it on something else. Let's check for all these. So we're getting true, false, true, true, false. That is exactly correct. So here is no spaces. Alright, so if you write as a space and it will give you a space there. So no spaces, one single space, a lot of spaces there, and no spaces. Okay, so it's empty blank space will be there, only then it will be considering as a space. Okay. Now the question is, give an example of string replication. Give an example of a string replication. So yes, good one. So example of a string replication. Replication, what does replication means? You have a string. Let's say you have a dog. A string kind of a dog. Okay. The replication is something multiplying by an integer, right? So just multiply it by 10. So we're getting it like this. This is your string. This is a replication, you can say. So 32. Then you have the concatenation. Concatenation is also easy. Let's just take it there as a kind of a dog. That's all. So if I print X, I'll be getting the dog there. Alright. So yes, this is a kind of a, you can say, the concatenations. Okay. So now the question is kind of, we have 40 questions. Okay. So we have 33 there. Let's say that the question is, capitalize the first character each word in a string. Method capitalize. Fine. So let's say this is a lowercase and I need to capitalize it. So this is a sorry, it says to just capitalize every particular thing, right? So it will be a title. So title will give me the first character of each word as the capital one. Okay. Then the next question is split the input from the user of a web site by dot. Good one. I think we have done it. So the method we'll be using there is so let's take web as the user from input from the user. Let's say he gives an input, and what we'll do is we'll split his input by the dot, and then we'll print his web. So so we can see that our web is www Google go and in. Okay, this kind of this splitting you are doing. Alright, so this was question number 35. There are 5 questions more left. Then we'll have your test. So it says that give an example of using the partition function. Okay, we didn't read that. No problem. So it says using the partition function. So obviously the method we will be using here is partition one. Okay. So this partition particularly splits a string on the first instance of a substring like of. Okay. So a tuple of a split string is like return with the substring removed. Or let's say you have a sentence and it is kind of so I watch cartoons there. Okay, so if you want to be Ninja Hattori, right? So this is the sentence. I just want to print it. So it's se dot partition, and I'm writing its want. Okay, so what will happen? It will break down the sentence in the want, or it's make a partition on the want. So if you and then want and then everything in the right side. Similarly, like for the one part as the left and next part as the right side. One second. Let's take the another question. 37. So this states, what does it mean for strings for an immutable in Python? What does it mean for a string to be immutable in Python? Yes. What does it mean? So once a string object, I can write this. So we'll write, once a string object has been created, it like cannot changed, or more specifically for the modifying string creates a whole new object memory. Okay, memory. So it's kind of a mutable one. So it can be proved by using id function. How? Let's see. This is your answer, right? So let's say we have a proverb, and it is, rise each day before the sun. Just print the proverb. It says that the ID or location of this is this, the location. Similarly, let's take the proverb 2. It says, rise each day before the sun. And let's say we are just adding on something here more. If it is a weekday. Okay. So rise it before the sun if it is a weekday. This is your statement. Now again you go and print your idea. Proverb 2. So we're getting another ID. Okay. So this specifies you that anything having some different locations or different values, you are mutuating it, or when you are just recreating it. So concatenating, we did a concatenation, right? We did a concatenation there. That is your, if it is a weekday. Okay, we did that, right? So if you print it on, so we got an answer of 140 something like that, right? So this particularly, this string what we have added up, this creates a new object in this memory location. Okay, and this creates a new ID itself also. So if the object was actually modified, then it would have the same ID. Okay. Understood? That is. So moving to the next question. So if many times a student have a doubt that does defining sorry, so defining a string twice or associated with two different variable names. So thus defining a string which is associated with two different variable names, or you create one or two objects in a memory. So how many objects does it create there? For example, let's say if I write animal equals to dog and the pet equals to dog. Like for example, if I write animal equals to dog, and similarly I write my pet is equals to dog. Right? If I write like this, what happens? So it will create only one. Okay, it creates only one memory. So if this is for the first, like kind of you can say that this can be proved with the usage of ID1. Okay. So you'll be noticed that how both of these have the same ID. That is, if I print animal, so we can see ID of the animal and ID of the pet will be the same. Okay, so this will be the same. They will have both the same ID as the contents are having is the same. So last two of the questions. Let's see. So give an example of using make, trans and translate. So alright. So make trans, what does make trans? Let me write it here. See guys, make trans. So particularly this creates a mapping from the characters, alright, to other ones. Okay, this create a mapping with the characters to the other one. So what does the translate does then? So translate then creates, or you can say then applies their mapping to translate a string. Right. So what are these things? Let me make it understand it much better. Let's say I'm creating a mapping now. Okay, I'm creating a mapping. So I'll write it as, let's say, mapping is equals to str dot make trans and write ABC is 1, 2, 3 is and anything, right? So you have written this. Now what does this mean? When you go for translate this string, when you go on for translating the string, you will be writing it as ABC are nothing but the first three. Okay, so ABC are the first three letters, and you will write kind of a translate and then for the mapping. So let's see what it happens here. It says 1, 2, 3, 1 RE. There is some problem. Yes, it says 1, 2, 3, 1 RE are the first three letters. So you understood what happened? Replaced ABC by the 1, 2, and 3. Understood? It is, if I write here the B, so you can see there comes FR2RST. Understood? It says that ABC replaces by 1, 2, 3, and similarly for the small s by the capital S. So I have seen the small s as the capital S. If I write B here, so I'm getting FI2RST. If I write ABC, so AB3 is 1, 2, 3, and A is represented by 1, and so on. So these are the values which change accordingly to these things, right? Okay. Now let's say that you have our next question. Are you guys there? Split lines and encode. All right. Let's say you have the 40th question as to okay. So let's say you have a string and it is written there. Hello 1 students 2. Okay, so string is hello 1 and the students 2. Similarly, you have the vowels and it is A, E, okay, where is A? I, O, and U. So you have these things, right? So it says that to remove the vowels from the string. So one option is to iterate over the characters in a string, while like for the string comprehension and all these things. So what we can do is we'll use the join method. Like we write like this and then we write it as join, and then apply that C for, so you have read the basic concepts, right? C for C in string. So C for the C in string if C not in vowels. So you understood what I'm writing. So for C for the C in the string, then like kind of a colon you can see. So if C is not in the vowels, so this will not be there, and write for that. So just remove to the vowels. So if I run this, I can see H E, or let's say HLLO or HLL1 STD and C2. So what happens here? So it returns their kind of a vowels, right? We have C there. So you can see that if the things have not been matched in a vowel, then we use the join back to the form of the string. Okay. So if you write it HELLO, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So HEL, and you can see E and O has been printed out. So E has been found off, so it has been removed. O has been found off, so it has been removed. 1 is there. Similarly, there from the E has been gone off, right? So these are the things you have found in there. So this was all your things, all right? One more question there, this last one. It is, when would you use rfind? So this is your last question, that's it. Okay. So when would you use the rfind? So rfind is like the find one, but it starts searching from the right of a string and return the first matching of the substring. Okay. So let's say you have a string again. Okay. And you say that so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 we are getting there. Okay, now let's just take it as a help of str, and let's get to the every particular statements. So here are the kind of things we have seen, that how we use capitalize, case fold, center, count, encode. So encode, it will just write for the encodation of the string using the codec registration registered for the encoding line. So encoding, what you see here is kind of things that is, we have read for the ends with. Okay, we have seen the expand tabs, right? Return the copy of all characters in an expanded using the spaces. So you define what kind of space or tab size you want. We have used the find one. We have used the format map is just to return a formatted version of the your string particularly. Like we have used the index is alpha num is alpha is an ASCII is a decimal. You can check it on right there. Decimal we have done it is digit is an identifier we have done. Lower we have done numeric, or printable is if something is kind of printing or not. If it is not a kind of printable, if it is an empty, like if I write it as so is printable, right? So if it is a kind of an empty thing, or just a you can say REPR of that, that is a repersons, right? So you have that, then you can just not print it. So we have seen the space, we have seen the title, upper, join, left, right, everything, partition, replace, rfind, index, just these are the things you can also practice on, right? So we have done with a lot of questions of the string, like for the 40 questions, and I hope this will be clear to you, right? So let's remove this. So you'll be getting these things, right? So these are all of your string important questions. There are much more to practice on, but now for this, now you will be having your test, right? So I think 1 hour is left. Okay, so 1 hour is left. I'll be giving you the assignments now, right? Just kind of a test you will be having. So you will have the time to write down, okay, and then to submit it within 1 hour. Okay. So let me stop your recording.